Connor Shaw. Who?
Do you want that as your lock of the week?
Dylan Gabriel's not the guy. He's a 5'10", 5'11" left-handed quarterback. The odds are stacked against him. All right, Jay Dawg. It is a very special edition that we are about to unveil. We didn't do this previously in Bet This history. It is Jackie Robinson.
It
is the Jackie Robinson edition
of Bet This. Yes. Yep. As you can see on YouTube.
Yes.
Bet This. That's THIS with an exclamation point. I'm wearing the Jackie Robinson Day hat that the Cleveland Guardians wore against the St. Louis Cardinals in a day game affair on April 15th. And as you know, every April 15th, it's not just tax day. I'd rather forget about that, though.
Yes.
Jackie Robinson Day. And I had told you before we started the podcast, this podcast in particular, just podcast in general. No, this podcast here is that you assumed that this was an every year thing since like time in memoriam.
Right. I thought, pretty much not since the color barrier, but since Jackie, I guess, retired, I assumed, something like that. There was more recognition. I didn't realize how relatively new. At this point, it's a little older, dating myself, but it's.
I've dated myself. It's not very costly. I got to tell you. No. Old joke right there. Well, that's what happens when cold and loneliness in Cleveland happen. Anyway, irregardless, 1997 was the first year they really started to hit the ground running with Jackie Robinson Day, and it started with L.A., where, of course, he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Right.
He was well retired before they became L.A., and the groundswell with his wife, Rachel Robinson, and Commissioner Bud Selig at the time. He was still interim commissioner. Back in 1997, they had the patches on the uniform of 50 years since he broke the color barrier on April 15th, 1947. All major league teams did that. They also made the announcement that the number 42 would be retired throughout the entire sport of Major League Baseball. Now, you still had players like Mariano Rivera and Mo Vaughn at the time, still wearing the number 42. It's grandfathered in. It's following, should they ever retire, which you don't play forever.
Right.
When Vaughn retired way before Mariano Rivera did, the number 42 would not be worn ever again in Major League Baseball. Now, that's just half of it. They didn't start wearing the number 42 until Ken Griffey Jr. started to tell people that, you know what, maybe we should all wear the number 42. This was in the late 2000s. This is bad. Yeah, this is actually 2000s into the late 2000s where teams started to really take heed on that, you know what, maybe we should all wear the number 42. And now it's that and patches and everything. And
now, Dog.
Yeah.
And thank you for the what do I want to call it? The history lesson, the backstory to Jackie Robinson Day. And I want to ask you, because I know you're such a large baseball fan. I know that you love baseball.
My religion.
Probably more than any other sport. I know you care about football as well.
And hockey and basketball.
Right, like you're a sports fan.
Correct.
But baseball is, like you said, your religion. What does Jackie Robinson Day mean to you as a baseball fan?
Okay, here's the thing. I don't know if you know this or not, but Larry Doby in the American League for Cleveland.
For the Guardians, yeah.
Broke the color barrier. So there's a little bit of a kind of, how do I put this?
Animosity?
I wouldn't say animosity. It's close, though. It's awfully close because there's no Larry Doby Day honored in Major League Baseball.
Right. Now, is Larry in the Hall?
Yes.
He's inducted, right?
Yes, 1998. Yes.
I was just curious. It's funny you say there's like some animosity, but in all
the recognition,
right? In all reality, the it's not the message; it's just the fact that you're getting snubbed from being the messenger.
Yes,
essentially. But either way, the message of Jackie Robinson Day and like what it means to the league and more than the league, obviously, this country and like the world in general. Like it means a lot to me as a baseball fan. I'll just say that, not because of my race, color, skin, whatever, but just because of what it means to be able to like see how people can come together and just and like doesn't matter who you are, what you are, like at the end of the day, we're all people, and it's all about just picking each other up and supporting each other, especially in a world like today that's like the number one thing that we could all use, I'd like to say.
It didn't have to be that way either.
Right.
There was a time, wasn't all that long ago, where that wasn't the case. Now it's back to being that,
and
which I
did
not think was going to happen in my lifetime, but here we are.
I just think that Jackie Robinson Day, it shows as like a society, as like people, that we all can like take a day to recognize like a great individual, whether Larry Doby did it or not. And
first in the American League.
Right. Not saying that Doby doesn't deserve recognition either, because he does.
They wear the number 14 on July 5th every year.
Was that the day that
correct
he broke the barrier for the AL, essentially?
Yep. So
and that makes sense too, because I guess Jackie is probably overshadowing it just solely because it's one league now. But to your point, back in the day, the American League and the National League were two separate leagues. Like when Larry Doby,
still Major League Baseball,
but when Larry Doby broke the color barrier, it was like the American League. It was almost like the AFC and the NFC, or the AFL, excuse me, and the NFL.
The AFL had started, I think, in the early 60s. So it seems like the Jets and the Patriots and those other teams, they came over later.
Right.
Again, there was no merger. Again, the National League is older. That's why they call it the senior circuit, because you have Brooklyn now, LA, San Francisco at the time, New York Giants, the Phillies, the Cubs, those older teams. Now, the American League became a 1901. So teams like Cleveland, like the Red Sox, like the White Sox.
So it was still MLB
members
by then.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still like back in those days, it was like regarded as like two separate leagues. Like it wasn't like they played together for the World Series, like they played
the All-Star game.
You know what I mean? But like it was still like, oh, your team plays in the American League, like my team plays in the National League.
The only time they would play is either spring training, the All-Star game, and the World Series.
Exactly. So that's my point. It's like it was two separate leagues. So it almost feels like Larry Doby should kind of get like some recognition because it was more separated between what he did and Jackie Robinson and things like that, because of like the leagues being treated as like separated leagues almost.
Now, Robinson is not the first black player to play Major League Baseball. Moses Fleetwood Walker and his brother later on, shortly thereafter, for Toledo. They don't exist anymore, as you well know. The Toledo Mud Hens, of course, are a minor league team, but no, the Toledo, I think they were the Toledo Blue Stockings. I'd have to go back and look. They were the first, I think, in the late 1800s into the 1900s. They were not embraced. So, right.
See,
so there was no one was banned. You were not banned because of the color of your skin. There was like a gentleman's agreement that, we're not going to let so-and-so play baseball.
Almost not to have a play on words or anything here, but it's almost like, like blacklisting someone or something like that. Like
essentially.
Yeah.
Well, remember I think the last team to integrate, I think it was at the Yankees or the Red Sox. I think it was the Red Sox. Well, Mr. Yaki, Jackie Robinson had a tryout with the Red Sox. Well, Mr. Yaki found out about that, and he didn't like that. He said, "Get those blanks off the field."
Ooh.
So yeah, there's a reason why there's no more Yaki Way anymore.
Now, before
back to Jersey Street.
Now, before we transition and get into some baseball talk and some futures, because that's what we're going to go over today is some baseball futures.
We're talking about the past. Essentially,
before we get out of the past, though, we have like a close connection with Jackie Robinson and the color barrier here in New Hampshire.
We do, absolutely.
And I wanted you to just touch on that real quick before we switch subjects.
The Nashua Dodgers, of course, were the Brooklyn affiliate at one time. Them bums. You had Roy Campanella. You had Don Newcomb. You had Jackie Robinson. You had a pipeline, essentially, and they came through Nashua because you had Montreal, Nashua, Brooklyn. That's what it was back at Historic Holman Stadium back in the day. That's why they call it Historic Holman Stadium. It's called that because Jackie Robinson and company were on the come up for the big league club in Brooklyn, Roy Campanella, Campy, as well as Don Newcomb, the pitcher Don Newcomb. And as I mentioned, aforementioned Jackie, all about ready to come up to the big club. Before they did that, they had to go through the minors.
Mm-hmm.
One of the minor league teams was Nashua. And them bums started in Nashua, New Hampshire. Yeah.
Very exciting. And I love that little story and that tie together. I know a little bit about it, but I knew obviously you would know more about it than I would.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very cool connection there. And just again, Jackie Robinson Day, one of my favorite days in sports. And growing up, I did one of my first school projects. I've shared it with you before. I've told you about it. I did a like picture booklet on Jackie Robinson, or like a shoebox diorama of him and Pee Wee Reese. So I love the story of Jackie Robinson. And
that line in 42 never happened, by the way.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people, and it's just amazing what people will pick up on. Thinking
you got to make things a movie. You got to make it cinematic.
And there's certain liberties taken, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, people will take it as the gospel. They're going to take Michael Jackson, that new movie that's out now. They're going to take that as the be all end all. And of course, that's not the case. I'm just letting you folks know that firsthand. Much like Bohemian Rhapsody, there's certain timeline that does not match that they crammed in.
You got to fit a man's life into 2 hours.
Essentially.
All right, Jay Dawg. It is MLB Future Times. Now, I already did a Futures edition of Bet This recently.
Was in San Francisco?
Yes, when you were on your last vacation before Cleveland.
I promise there's not going to be any more vacations until I think at least August.
Yes.
At the Jackie Robinson Rotunda at Citi Field, by the way.
So I did a little bit of futures there, and I had some predictions, but you didn't really get to join in on the fun. So we're breaking down futures today, specifically for baseball for Jackie Robinson. We're betting our money for Jackie. This is for you, Jackie. Shouts out to 42. So we're going to go over our MLB futures, our thoughts on some stuff. Not a ton of odds because the season has started. It's early, but we'll go over what we can and just give predictions and thoughts and just talk about the season and the outlook on this year. And we'll start with the AL East. We're going to do the AL first, and we'll start on the East Coast, moving west. And to open up the AL East favorites for your odds, the Yankees currently sit at minus 140 favorites. Blue Jays in second at plus 425. Red Sox at plus 600. Orioles plus 600. And Rays plus 2,000. Who are you taking? Or before you tell me who you're taking, tell me your thoughts on the AL East, the outlook on the season.
Hasn't started the greatest for a couple of teams.
Yeah.
The Red Sox being one of them, and the Orioles being the other. Rays, Jays, and unfortunately Yanks right now are the class of the American League East. I don't think that's going to stay, though. I think the Jays, and again, there's some injuries here and there, which I knew was going to happen. They played 7 games into the World Series last year. They went farther than they have in a long, long, long time. And I had a feeling that was going to happen. I think ultimately, though, Toronto, I still think they can make a trade or two. That's not till July.
It's interesting just because like the Blue Jays, they have a lot of not expiring talent, but like
they got to cash it in now.
Right. Like a lot of that talent's like older. Scherzer.
Yeah.
He's not looking so hot to start the year. Not that he's looking terrible, but he's,
even Verlander,
he's older.
He's in their 40s. They're my age.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think Scherzer's getting ready for his like 3,500 strikeouts this year.
He's trying.
Right. Like if he can reach it or whatever. That's like the next milestone for him. But so I think like the Blue Jays, it's almost, think about this too. You know, when you think about teams that are trying to repeat, go back to back, just even making it, you're playing more baseball than the rest of those teams. So that rest and recovery that all those other teams are getting from, let's say, September, if a team doesn't make the playoffs, all the way until spring training, as opposed to the Blue Jays have been playing nonstop since spring training, all the way into to this spring training, essentially, the World Baseball Classic and all that. And it's like, So you never take a day off. Yeah, like you might be exhausted. Like it. I can't go like 6 months without taking a day off. Like or let alone like I can't go a week without taking a day off. I need at least like the weekend. And so these guys are
Couple days off by Huey Lewis in the News from 1991. Okay, all right.
These guys are pushing. So it's hard to expect the Blue Jays to bounce straight back into the level they were at. Although I think they made the best moves out of any AL East team. If I had to pick a team to win it right now, I'd probably say the Blue Jays. I don't think the Yankees keep up this level of intensity all season. Although it feels like they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. And if you think back to the last 2 World Series, it's been AL East teams in the World Series. So it could be either of the Yankees or the Blue Jays to win this division, but I feel like the other 3 teams are out. I'd probably put my money with the Blue Jays. What say you?
Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the Central where the Guardians are sitting in 3rd currently. Opening up the favorites, we've got the Tigers at plus 130, the Royals at plus 185. The Guardians at plus 400, the Twins at plus 1,000, and the White Sox at plus 4,000. Now, the Royals being plus 185 is actually interesting, and the Guardians being only plus 400, I actually really like their odds to win the division because I don't think the Tigers perform as good as they did last year. I don't think that I don't know. I feel like they were really fluky in certain spots throughout the season last year. And really close.
They did slump though in parts.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Cleveland came back 15 games out of the division.
Right, and I feel like Cleveland
they won't have that happen again.
But I also don't think they're going to get that far out of the race this year.
That's what I mean.
Right.
That's not going to happen again. That was a once in a
right. Like the fact that they climbed back that far, and I feel like the pitching has gotten better. You've got more experience in Cleveland's pitching.
And now they're.
I'm not even trying to gaslight Cleveland, like because Jay Dawg knows I'll pick his rival all day long. I just really think that if I'm sitting here looking at these odds right now, I think obviously the Tigers are supposed to be good, but the Royals don't have anything that's really exciting to me besides Bobby Witt Jr. and like Salvi. And Salvi's older, he's not.
Salvi I was in Cleveland. He's hitting at the pitches that he didn't used to hit that are, the worst ones.
He had a good World Baseball Classic, but that doesn't translate always.
And again, he's getting older.
Yes, exactly. So and again, I'm not trying to gaslight gas up Jay Dawg, but I just think the Guardians, I like their talent. I think the pitching's really good. Bibby. Thank you.
British, not Bibby.
Bibby.
You have Big Rig Gavin Williams.
I really like Bibby and I like Parker Messick a lot.
Yes.
I think those 2 guys are really great.
Don't sleep on Joey Cantillo
and
either.
Who's your closer? Is it Cade Smith?
Cade Smith, Canadian Cade Smith.
And he's been one of the top closers in the league.
Well, I was watching the game against the Cubs recently on TV. I was at the Cavs game, and it was interesting.
Okay,
it was interesting. Again, hope he's okay. And
tell me though, are you taking Guardians?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
I just think a lot of people are taking the Tigers. I get that. However, I just think there's a couple of key elements missing from Detroit. It's not Scoble. It's not Framber Valdez. It's not those guys.
I don't think the bats are all there.
That's the thing.
I think some of them are there, but
the defense.
You're still hanging on. You're still hanging on to a Javier Baez, who's like.
It's not that Javi East Coast Baez. Okay, that's fine, but I just think some of the kiddos, not yet.
Right.
Kerry Carpenter. Yeah.
It seems like also not to go off on a wild tangent. I won't really go far off because we don't have a ton of time. But the wave of teams bringing up players, I feel like too early. There's a lot of young talent in the league right now, and it's been encouraged because of things like what the Mariners did, where they got Julio Rodriguez out of that draft pick from calling up someone early. They called up Julio early, so they got an extra draft pick
and
because he won Rookie of the Year.
And they signed him to a ridiculous contract.
So now a lot of teams you see are just calling up
and signing ridiculous contracts.
Yeah, look at the Connor Griffin contract.
Connor Griffin with Pittsburgh last week.
So not to spin too far off, but I feel like the Tigers are really like they have so much youth.
Yeah, something's missing.
Right, they're not ready yet. I don't think.
Kansas City, again, something's missing.
I don't think they're youth. I think it's the opposite in Kansas City. They're hanging on to older talent.
Well, I think Salvador Perez is fine. Mike Walker, I saw Walker.
Yeah, but they went out and got like Yastrzemski.
Yaz, I didn't see Yaz, by the way.
It's like I like Yastrzemski.
They got Lane Thomas though.
I like Yastrzemski. I'm Red Sox fan. Wish he came to Boston, but Is that the best player you could go out and get? Either way, we're taking the Guardians. All right. Last team in the AL. We're moving on to the West. Opening up the odds, the Mariners 105. That's plus 105, excuse me. The Rangers at plus 260. The Astros at plus 300. Narrow race between those three. The Sacramento Athletics coming in
You want to call them that?
at plus 1600. And then the Angels bringing up the back of the bus at plus 3500.
Yeah.
At least the Angels have Mike Trout looking all right to start the season.
That's day to day.
That was about it. Yeah. The Athletics, do want to say, like the Sacramento uniforms, the alternates.
Don't call them that.
No, I know. I'm just messing.
Yes. I know.
All right. Mariners, Rangers, Astros. Those are the real choices. Who you taking?
Mariners.
You're going with the Mariners.
Yeah.
I do have to mention, I threw out a flyer at the beginning of the season on the Athletics to get, I think, 75 wins.
Okay.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
You think they're going to get to the postseason?
I think a lot of these teams that are younger in they were worse, not the Rockies or the White Sox per se, but the Athletics. Yeah. I think they're starting to bounce back. They have Rookie of the Year Nick Kurtz on their team. I mean,
I do not want to see them in the postseason because it's
a tough matchup for the Guardians.
No, baseball would have to. They can't play.
Host. Yeah.
Here's the problem with it. They can't really host. They'd have to go to a neutral site, and I don't. That's a mess.
All right. So who you take? And you take the Mariners, you said?
The Astros and the Rangers will make it interesting.
Okay. I think I got to go with the Mariners again. They were so close last year. And if I had to pick right now a team, even though they're struggling, I feel like the Mariners, by the end of the season, they'll probably make the World Series. I feel like the amount of talent they have, they can't miss it this year.
They've got to. Yeah. This is it.
All right, Dog. National League division.
The senior circuit,
as they call it. We've got the NL East. Will start out on the East Coast and work west as well. The NL East opens up with the New York Mets as your favorites at plus 140, but right behind them are the Phillies plus 185. I do want to say the Phillies have, I feel like, struggled to begin the season. And how long is that window going to stay open?
This is it for them.
Especially, obviously, the strike pending.
You also have Bryce Harper will be 35 in 2027. So
Trey Turner's not getting younger.
Trey Turner isn't getting any younger. Neither is Schwartz.
Exactly. And Schwartz is just a DH. Like, he's not, I mean, you can use him in the field, but he's not that elite outfielder. He's a bat. He's a bat. You know what I mean?
No, that's why they paid him.
Right. Yeah. He's a paid DH.
This is it for the Phillies as far as I'm concerned. They've got to cash in on this because otherwise.
So give me your thoughts going into the season. Like, between the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, and, take out your bias against the Braves. Obviously, you don't like them, but talent-wise, like, what do they offer to even be considered that close to the Phillies? Because I feel like it's Acuna aging off of torn ACLs, Olsen aging, Chris Sale aging. Am I missing something with the Braves or
a couple of youngins? Other than that,
I mean, they still have Ozzie Albies and some young guys like
Who's that Drake kid, the Drake Baldwin.
Yeah, the catcher.
Yeah,
he's all right.
They've got a little bit of a youth movement, a little infusion. However, though, to your point, Acuna twice with that knee injury. You can't.
And in a division like the East with the Mets, the Phillies, and as we were saying just before we, turn the mics back on, the Marlins right now,
the Fighting Fish,
the Natties have been exceeding expectations by a lot. And up until they played the Dodgers, a couple weeks ago, they're looking really good. So, and now to your point, you don't have to win the division. So the odds here are kind of skewed for the Nationals. They're plus 10,000. I think they make the playoffs this year, and I know
they get to the postseason.
Yeah, I don't know if I think you chose them as your World Series winner last year.
No,
or was that this year? You have them in the World Series.
Last year, I had them in the World Series.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You had them as
Cleveland
when we did the futures last year. So I mean, I could see them making the playoffs and making another run like they did when they won in 19.
I do not see that,
but I think it's going to be a stretch if they do that. I think their young talent like James Wood, CJ Abrams, I
think they're a year away.
I just think that they don't have any pitching. Losing Mackenzie Gore to the Rangers.
Yeah, we're just helping the Rangers immensely.
Yeah, I think that's tough for the Nats because it's like now who do you got like Josiah Gray? It's like, and he was an all-star a couple of years ago, but he's not really been anything since. And it's like You got no
Yeah.
pitching.
I've got
back to the point.
I've got the Mets.
Yep.
I've got the Mets. It's all going to depend on Juan Soto's health as well. With the calf strain that he has and he's out, that doesn't help. He's the highest paid player in the game, too. So typical Mets with that luck. Although I do like their pitching. I do think it's going to come around. I think the Mets, again, I've got the Mets winning the division. And I'm going to be going to at least 4 Mets games if all goes according to plan weather-wise this summer. Mets Nationals on a Sunday, and then the Mets Padres series Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in New York in August. So
I'm probably going to go with the Mets here too if I'm picking, just because I think the Phillies are out of their window and the Braves are also past their shot. Maybe throw a flyer on the Marlins. Now, moving on to the Central, the Brewers lead the odds at plus 165, Cubs at plus 210, the Pirates plus 370, the Reds at plus 500, and the Cardinals at plus 3,500, excuse me. The Cardinals plus 3,500.
How about the Cardinals? When have you last seen, other than last year and maybe the year before that, the St. Louis Cardinals with those kinds of odds of not getting in?
Yeah.
It's
well, I feel like it's been looming since the exit of Yachty
and
Pujols and Waino. I feel like since then,
now
now we're into that next generation, but I don't think they've really kicked things off.
The Cardinal way, though.
They have
the Cardinal way.
Yeah, but the talent they're bringing in, it's like the best guy they got, it feels like, is Lars Nootbaar. Like they let go of Paul Goldschmidt, which I think is so stupid. And they moved on from Goldie and Arenado, and I think that's when it was like, all right, we're rebuilding. It's official, and build it around Lars. He's really, I mean, they have other talent too, but that's like the established guy, really. Now
St. Louis Cardinals and not making the postseason, or St. Louis Cardinals and long odds to win the division. Again,
now
this is a whole new world.
Can I give you my winner, my NL
Go
Central?
ahead.
This is one of my favorites. I'm picking the Reds.
Yeah,
I think the Reds are going to win the NL Central.
Okay.
I really like the Reds this year.
And that's without Hunter Green, by the way.
Yes, I know, but I think no Hunter Green. Regardless, they still have Andrew Abbott, great pitcher. I think something that gets overlooked is when big home run hitters go to home run hitting parks. Look at Gino Suarez going to Cincinnati, the #1 home run park. The Great American Ballpark has more home runs hit.
It's called Great American Small Park for a reason. It's a bandbox.
It's tiny, and the way the wind circulates, it just pushes the ball.
You wanted to go to the opener.
I did. Our head Brandon was at the opener.
Yes.
You could see it in one of our recent editions. But yeah, I'm picking the Reds because I just think they got so much extra stuff in the offseason, pitching wise, batting wise.
I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to win the wild card because, again, I've got Cleveland over Cincinnati in the World Series. So Cleveland, home field advantage. Cincinnati, you get in as a wild card. And
so who you picking?
For the division, I am taking the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, the Brewers look good, and they play ball really good as well. All right, let's get in the NL West real quick, J Dawg. Dodgers open up minus 1,100. It's insane. Padres at plus 1,200 in second place is crazy. The Giants being in third place, this division is awful. I mean, the Padres, even in second place, it feels like it's like,
it's a long second.
Yeah, the Padres struggled to compete against the Red Sox to start the season. Not that they didn't beat the Red Sox, but they still looked
in Boston.
They still struggled. And didn't look that great.
When's the last time the Red Sox lost 2 out of 3 to San Diego in Boston? That's a big deal.
No, I know. So I do get that, but I just think the Dodgers are another level. I'm going to pick the Dodgers.
Unfortunately, I have to pick LA. I don't want to because I actually had the Giants coming, but again, they're just trying to gel with a new manager. Tony Vitello, we've seen there are certain elements that he's getting used to. I don't say he's not ready. If he's not ready, then he's not going to be a manager in baseball long. Because Buster Posey, who was one of the assistants to the GM, he's getting a lot of the blame on this. So I don't think that's fair either. It is what it is. The Giants, though, I really thought that
they struggled so fast. It's like so bad out of the gate. It's
Logan Webb's the ace, though.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that. Other than that, there's gaps in defense. There's gaps in other pitching. Yeah, it's essentially LA, and the rest of the teams are on the East Coast trying to catch up to them.
All right, Dog. Before we finish up this edition of Bet This on Jackie Robinson Day edition of Bet This, let the bet heads know where they can catch the next game on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Saturday, as you're listening to this on the radio, if you're listening to it on the radio,
Coming up,
3:10 pregame, 4:10 first pitch. The Red Sox hosting the Detroit Tigers, who we just talked about with the likes of Framber Valdez and Tarek Skubal, those guys. Also, that's going to be 3:10 pregame, 4:10 first pitch on the Pulse of New Hampshire radio stations. And WrestleMania week continues, as it's now WrestleMania this weekend on the in Vegas, but on the playback, though, we've been doing classic WrestleMania matches, top 50 of all time. So every single day we've done our classic WrestleMania match. We're doing that until Sunday. And then later on in the week, Jay Dawg's boxing bout of the month, which will be Tuesday. And I'm going to think on Monday, we'll do the opening of the new Comiskey Park, which came out in 1991, which is 35 years ago, right? On the playback on the Pulse Podcast Network, which the playback is under the Bet This umbrella. Just go to thepulseofnh.com, click where it says the Pulse Podcast Network, and that's where you get all your podcasts. The playback is under the Bet This umbrella. That, by the way, will conclude my ballpark, because I did the Cardinals in 2006, opening up Busch Stadium 3, the new Comiskey Park, which is 35 years ago.
you didn't get footage of them opening Fenway?
No one did. No one did. Also, Miller Park, which is now American Family Field, and PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I did that.
J Dawg, thank you for that. Again, 3:10 after Bet This coming up.
On the radio.
On the radio, you can catch the Tigers, Red Sox, Pulse of NH radio stations. J Dawg, let's close up our MLB futures with our World Series predictions and championships. Now, I know you alluded to a few moments ago the Guardians in Cincinnati as your World Series.
The Ohio Cup becomes the World Series.
Pick another team besides the Guardians. If the Guardians got blown off the map and they had only 29 teams, who's making the World Series? Seattle instead.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
They're due. They're the last of the teams that have not made the World Series. Think about that. It means the Washington Nationals and the Colorado Rockies.
The fact that the Natties won
not only went to, but won.
Yes.
The most bizarre World Series of all time.
Yes.
Because no home team won a game in the World Series. That had never happened before in the history of the World Series. Now, teams like the 2001 World Series or the 1987 World Series, the home team won every game.
Mm-hmm.
The Diamondbacks and the Yankees, the Twins and the Cardinals. So it was the opposite of that.
So you think it's Mariners and Reds if it's not good?
No, Mariners and
okay. If it's not the Ohio Bowl,
Ohio Cup,
the Ohio Cup,
Mariners and Mariners Mets.
Okay,
how about that?
You think the Mets are going to make it? I feel like they're cursed. I feel like the Mets just keep running into
40 years. It'll be 40 years since they last won the World Series.
I could see that then.
So,
all right,
they've been to the World Series a couple other times since.
Mariners to win the World Series right now, they're plus 1,100. The Mets are plus 1,400.
Yeah.
If I had to pick two teams, as much as I love Vlad Jr., I'm a big Vlad Jr. fan, and I love the Fisher Cats.
Yeah.
And the Canadian connection. You know, me and you both. You're French Canadian,
half French, because again, I'm of Irish descent as
well. And you know, I study French as a hobby of mine. I love French, and
the streak's still going, right?
Yep, still going.
Okay.
And I am. I've been to Paris, so I'm a big French culture kind of person. Despite all that, I'm not picking the Blue Jays to go back. We talked about it earlier. I don't think that
it's tough to go back.
Right. I don't think they can go back to back. I'm gonna pick a long shot in a team that I have a lot of faith in this year.
Okay.
I think the Cincinnati Reds are going to make the World Series.
Okay.
I think if I had to pick an AL team, I'd probably go.
Tigers?
No, I'd probably go Mariners, maybe Tigers as my second pick for an AL team. Maybe Yankees. Not that I want that, but
Yankees, Reds in the World Series.
It's either the Mariners and Reds or probably the Yankees and Reds. But I think the Reds. I just think Ellie is going to have this explosive year. I think Gino Suarez going back to Cincinnati. He's ready to just
Francona knows how to
And
That's another thing,
again,
yeah.
Terry Francona is a World Series champion manager.
Yes.
He has so much experience in baseball and the playoffs, especially
In the postseason.
Right. So I just think that I like the Reds. I've been really riding them this year. They're my team. I'm kind of, not backing them. I'm a Red Sox fan and a Nats fan, Expos fan, but
Well, the Expos aren't playing anymore. Well,
right.
Technically they are, but they aren't.
Yes. Yeah.
The Washington National,
So I like the Natties and the Red Sox, but I think if I had to pick one team, I think the Reds win it. And they're plus 5,000, which would win you some coin.
Yeah.
So that's my team. That's my World Series.
Okay.
Reds, Mariners, J Dawg, and that does it.
Yes.
For the Jackie Robinson edition of Bet This.
Yeah. So as you can see on the patches, you've got 42 for a patch. They wore that at one time. And then you see the Jackie Robinson Day patch. You've got this 1997, by the way. It was to commemorate 50 years since Robinson broke the color barrier of the starting lineup. Posable figure. I have it right there. And also picture of Jackie Robinson and also a vinyl, what is it? They call it
like a sticker?
Vinyl, you call it, sticker, vinyl sticker. It's one of those.
Like a patch? Window sticker?
Window stickers almost.
Yeah.
Window decals.
Nice.
So there it is. 42. Remember Jackie Robinson.
Yes. So thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Bet Heads, for joining us. Check us out on social media. Bet This Pod on Instagram, Bet This P on X, and Bet This on YouTube, as well as Spotify and the Pulse Podcast Network.
THIS with an exclamation point on YouTube.
And don't forget, if you're going to bet
this.
And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bet This is for entertainment purposes only. Always gamble responsibly and never wager more than you can afford to lose. Our advice is not a guarantee of success. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org for resources.